Our first guest speaker is a renowned scientist and technologist and the first and only person in the world to earn 2 PhDs simultaneously in any discipline. He earned his degrees at Purdue University, one in physics and the other in chemistry. He was the chief science advisor of the famed $10 million X Prize contest, and for the last 12 years has worked in Hollywood as a writer and producer of various science fiction TV programs. He is the co-director as well as the writer and producer of Quantum Quest, a 3D CGI science fiction adventure due out on IMAX screens in 2010. Please welcome Dr. Harry Kloor.
Well, in the future, they're going to figure out how to make these smaller. Maybe someday they'll actually fit in our pocket. It's a great honor to be here today. A lot of time I hear people say that, but I really do mean it. In this audience are a lot of writers, going back even to my childhood, which really inspired me to become a scientist. It was through science fiction that I saw the wonder of the universe and the possibilities of the universe. And so science fiction is what truly led me on the road to become a scientist, and it is then science that actually led me back to also want to be a screenwriter and a science fiction filmmaker. Now, I could spend enough time that John Goodwin would come up with a big hook and pull me off stage, listing all the science fiction writers that have influenced me. But instead what I'd like to do is name the first science fiction writer that influenced me. A writer by the name of Mary Conway. She wrote a single science fiction book called My Beloved Trochanis. I almost missed that name. And it was actually a romantic science fiction. And it was full of all the science fiction predictions that, were popular in the 60s, included things like microwaves and cell phones and all kinds of wonderful things. But the reason it was so impactful to me is because it was written by my mother while I was in her womb. So I want to thank my mom for leading me to pretty much my entire life and career and love. It was really through my mom that I started reading science fiction books. It's pretty cool to have your mom go, here's some comic books and here's a book by Highlander or Clark. I come here today from both posting, I'm in the middle of my mix of the Quantum Quest movie, which I'm going to talk about in a moment because we're going to run a clip on it. But I also come from the graduation ceremonies at NASA Ames, which is in Silicon Valley, for 2 universities that I think many of the writers here would really enjoy stopping by next year, wherever they happen to be, and getting involved in. And these universities are the International Space University and a new university that just started this year called the Singularity University. Now, I attended the first year of International Space University at MIT, created by Dr. Peter Diamandis in 1988. And it is this university that brings together the leaders of tomorrow. Just like you guys are the leaders for writing in the future, these are the leaders for space exploration and space, both in government and in the private enterprise, at the postgraduate level. And this year, we also launched a university, both universities created by Peter, but I was involved in this one. And the Singularity University is a science fiction writer's dream. It certainly was one for me. It was where I could really be a scientist and a science fiction writer. And it was one where we brought together the experts in nanotechnology, robotics, artificial intelligence, bioinformation, space, energy, genetics, cybernetics, you name it. And a student body of about 40 of the most smartest students that we could find to intermix that were involved in these technologies. And bring them together to learn each other's disciplines, but also to face, and explore some of the consequences of things that you all put into your books. And here, since your science fiction writings are becoming the reality of tomorrow, we actually wanted our future leaders to take seriously ethics and morals and the dangers of things like artificial intelligence. For instance, at what point do we really have to be cautious if we create an artificial intelligence program that actually is alive and awake and aware, and yet is thinking 1,000,000 times faster than us, perhaps it might think we're irrelevant. But we also looked at issues such as in robotics. Right now, there's advertisements about robotic cars. Well, how much intelligence do you want to give to a robotic car? You know, do you let it decide for you that you've drank too much and where it's going to take you and what it's going to do? So these are real issues that we explored. So I'm sure I'm already over my time. So I'm going to jump quickly to talk about my film, because my film is actually a combination of both of my careers, my science career and my science fiction career. The film Quantum Quest involves about, I don't know, somewhere between $3 and $10 billion in space imagery and radar data. The film is a science fantasy in the sense that the main characters are photons and protons and neutrinos that, God forbid, can actually talk and run around. But the point of this project was to approach science from the point of view of people who don't like it. People who don't want to learn about a photon or a proton or could care less about the discoveries we made in space. It's not that they don't really care, it's just that they've never had it in a palatable form. And they've never fed on science fiction, because if they had, they'd love it. And so this movie involves bringing that together in a science fiction format. The cast for this film involves 2 Kirks and 2 Vaders, and I threw in Mark Hamill as a referee. So we have Chris Pine and William Shatner, we have Hayden Christensen and James Earl Jones, and we also have Sam Jackson, Amanda Peet, Sandra Oh, Jason Alexandra, Abigail Breslin, Spencer Breslin, Brent Spiner, Robert Picardo. I could keep going, I'm forgetting other people. But we also have Neil Armstrong in his first ever appearance in a film, and for me that was great. The film also will bring real space discoveries to the public. So when you see the spider craters on Mercury, you're really seeing the spider craters on Mercury, and you'll be seeing this in 3D. You get to visit Venus, you get to go to Mars, and at the end you get to go surfing over the surface of Titan. The whole point of this is to bring this to a public through the science fiction media, because just as it inspired me to see the possibilities of science and to explore science, my hope is by using science fiction to tease people into getting an interest in science. So with that, I think we're going to roll this clip with one caveat. Keep in mind that this is 6 months old, so the visuals are about 60%. And you're not going to hear any of Skywalker's beautiful work. So let's roll the clip.